Hello and welcome to this week's video. I'm Madison, and this week I'm going to be reviewing 2020. It sucked. I think it's safe to say that everyone had a crappy 2020 in some regard. I wanted to talk about my 2020 and how it went. I'm going to review my 2020, as the video implies. At the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020, I can't quite remember when it happened, I decided that I wanted to do a list of goals for the year 2020, and can't even see what it says. And obviously, when I wrote this list, I had no idea exactly what 2020 had in store. I don't know how anyone could have predicted what 2020 had in store for all of us, but I went into 2020 thinking, I set out with the intention of accomplishing these goals, and now that 2020 is over, I can review my goals and let you know whether or not I achieved them. I love red pens. I love pens and pencils and various writing things, and I like checking things off of lists. So that's what we're gonna do. Some of these already have check marks, others do not. So we're just gonna go in step by step. I'll talk a little bit about these goals, whether or not I accomplished them, and so on and so forth. The first goal on this list is read 2+ books a month. Now, the funny thing about this is technically I did and technically I didn't. So I'm gonna do a little squiggly line next to this goal. And that's because there were some months where I only read one book or I didn't read at all. And other months where I read like 7 books. So technically I hit the 24 book minimum goal, but I didn't necessarily hit the 2 books a month goal. The next goal that I had was to write more for myself. In 2019, I had gotten very caught up in all the numbers of everything, and I started to write because I wanted to meet the expectations of my readers, and I was thinking of what can I write that others will love, as opposed to writing something that I would love. To go into my 2020 writing journey with a different mindset of writing for myself, because that's what I used to do all the time, especially in high school. And if I've learned anything, other people love what I love. And I think it's probably because when I'm writing something I love and I'm enjoying it, part of that transfers to the reader. There's some of that joy and love in the words and in the pages themselves that the readers can oftentimes pick up on. So I really wanted to write more for myself. And there are 2 kind of sub-goals in this category. One says NCT verse, and the other is 2 original fiction. So these were kind of my little bit more concrete writing goals. I wanted to write more of the fan fiction series that I had created called the NCT verse, where every fan fiction that features NCT members could be read as a standalone, but they were actually all connected, which is why it's the NCT verse, like a universe, ha ha ha. And then the 2 original fiction, I wanted to write 2 books that were not fan fiction, so they're original fiction. In terms of NCT verse, I ended up only writing 1 fan fiction very, very early on in the year, and I kind of abandoned it. I don't know if I'll ever go back to my NCT verse, but the reason I abandoned it was because I'm no longer into K-pop, and I have an entire video about that you can watch. So, not being into K-pop anymore, really don't want to write K-pop fan fiction. But I technically did write some of my NCT verse, but I only did one, but I'll do a checkmark anyway, because technically I achieved that. For 2 original fiction pieces, I wanted to write 2 complete novels, which is not beyond my capabilities. I've done it many times before, especially in high school when I had no social life. I did not accomplish this, but I halfway did because I did 1 original fiction piece, and it is honestly, I think, the best one that I've ever written, in my opinion. Even though I didn't write 2 pieces of original fiction, the one that I did write, I am so ridiculously proud of. So I'm gonna give myself another squiggly line on this goal because even though I did 1 out of the 2, so maybe I'll do a little half thing. Even though I didn't accomplish the 2 original fiction goal, the one that I did write, I absolutely am in love with. The next goal on here says exercise/get healthy. I'm gonna give myself another squiggly line because while I did exercise and I was consistent for a while, I lost that consistency, and while I'm not totally sedentary all the time, I'm still not quite to the exercise goals that I want to meet. But that's okay, because I will get there and I will keep working. The second one is get healthy, and this was just kind of the broad concept. My diet changed very much this year, and it is a lot healthier. In that regard, in terms of my diet, while it's not totally restrictive and I still allow myself to have a piece of candy every once in a while, or especially around the holidays, just junk food and eating all the time, I'm pretty proud of the diet changes that I've made in my life for this year especially. Next one already has a check mark next to it, and it says cook more. I don't know how to cook a whole lot, which is partially my fault. I like microwavable meals a lot. And this year I really wanted to start cooking more. The reason there's a little check mark next to it is because one night during the week, it's my meal night. I make it, I prep it, I do everything for it. So I've definitely been cooking more. I cook once a week. I also have been learning to make a bunch of other meals and just been taking responsibility for cooking for myself. And this is definitely a goal that I want to continue in the next year because I want to learn to cook even more things and just continue on this cooking journey. Everything else on my list has a check mark by it because I accomplished it. The next goal on here was drive more, and I drove a lot more. I don't like driving. I mean, I don't mind it once I'm in the car and I'm actually driving and I'm doing things, but if I don't have to drive, I'm not going to. One of the goals on here was Patreon investigation. Not only did I investigate Patreon, but I now have a Patreon, which you can go check out in the link below. It is having a major redesign, rebranding, all new tiers, a lot more tiers, different pricing, different benefits, so on and so forth. So be on the lookout for that. 2021 is like tomorrow as of the upload of this video, so you don't have to wait too long. But if you are interested in my Patreon, link in the description below. One of the last more not necessarily concrete goals, but one of my major goals of 2020 actually has a question mark next to it, and it's friends. I don't have too many friends, and that's okay. I operate better with fewer friends, so I have fewer friends that are closer. But this year, even at the beginning of this year, before everything shut down and isolation started and socialization became very, very difficult, I wanted to make more friends. So I downloaded an app and I put myself out there and started making friends. And it hasn't been that successful, but it has at least satisfied my need to socialize, which is so important, especially now. The last few things on this list were very concrete goals that were just kind of like, I could do it. I'm hoping to do this. They were like aspirational goals as opposed to goals that I was definitely going to do like all the others. The first one is create a TikTok account, which I did do early on in the year, and I used TikTok fairly often. Then I just stopped using it. It didn't add to my life, it didn't take away from my life. So while I do have a TikTok account, I don't use it ever. In fact, I deleted the app off of my phone because I was like, I never use this thing. So yes, I accomplished the goal, but I just never use it. Buy camcorder. This was for my YouTube aspirations, and I have not bought a camcorder yet. I bought a webcam. I have goals of upgrading my recording hardware because I recognize that the webcam I have, while it does the job, is not exactly the best. So technically I bought a webcam and not a camcorder, but I started my YouTube journey. And that's what counts. The final thing, the very last thing on this goal list was new phone, a Pixel. I have the Google Pixel. So obviously I accomplished that goal. 2020 has been a very difficult year. There's been a lot of changes for everyone and for me, professionally and personally, and it's been tough. But I survived it, you survived it, we survived it, and I'm so proud of all of us for making it through this extremely difficult year. While it was very difficult, just in general, it was also very rewarding because I look at this 2020 goals list and I can see that I accomplished pretty much everything on this list. I did it. I set out with these goals and I accomplished them. If anything, this has taught me that even with all of the difficulties of whatever life will throw at me, I can still accomplish things. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button for notifications every single time that I post. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye! What happened to my lipstick on that side? I don't understand. Anyway.